Hey, venue friends, it's Shannon from Wedding Venue Map here with your tip. So, today we're going to talk about how to find the decision maker when it comes to, you're having conversations with a lead, they come out and tour your venue. How do you know that you're talking to the person who actually gets to decide? So, I'm going to use it from give you a totally different example. But last week I was talking to someone who works at a venue who was interested in doing some print advertising on Wedding Venue Map, and they were super into the idea. We had gone over prices, the benefits of everything, what it looks like. She said it worked in her budget. Everything was awesome. It seemed like a complete green light. Okay, I failed. I didn't really ask the right question because she wasn't the decision maker. And so the whole conversation and the whole process I had was with a gatekeeper. It wasn't the decision maker. And when she brought it to the decision maker, I mean, I hope she did a good job of all the benefits I told her, but that's not really her job to remember them all, right? So they ended up not moving forward until I got to the decision maker. So the gatekeeper so believed in it and wanted it so bad that they kind of connected through, and I was able to get to the decision maker, have the conversation, and now they're joining us this spring for Wedding Venue Map in on the print map. So I want to give you some tips, and I want you to help you identify the different personas. So the decision maker is the person who's going to ultimately sign and pay, or pay. Sometimes it's different. The person who signs the contract may not be the person paying, but that is usually the final decision maker. Then you've got advocates. Advocates are the person who's making the phone calls, they do the research, and then they kind of pass the information along. And the advocate is the person that the decision maker is most likely to listen to. So, and then the last is the end user. So, who's actually going to engage in your product or service? Who interacts with you the most after the sale? When it comes to a wedding, these three things could be very different people. Like the end user could be the bride and groom. The advocate could be maybe a mom who's helping them search to find a venue and doing all the research. And maybe dad's the decision maker because he's cutting the big check, right? So you don't really know, but you need to make sure you're looking for decision makers, advocates, and end users, and who really is going to fall into what role as a part of this process. So, how do you find the decision maker? You really have to get all the information and ask killer questions. Like, you have to practice and be able to develop questions on the fly, but I'm going to give you a few really easy suggestions that you can use to figure it out. So, you can ask the kinds of questions like, who else is involved in the process? Not so much in the decision planning process, but in the wedding planning process, or the event. Let's not assume only weddings. Same thing applies for all types of events, right? So, who else is involved in the process is a really easy question. You can also ask the people, what's your role in the decision making process? I promise if you try out these questions, it's amazing how quickly they just are honest and they share with you and tell you. I would ask, what's your criteria in making the final decision? Like, what's going to matter the most when it comes to making that choice, whether it's with them or with other people? But sometimes they'll say, well, we'll take the top two that we really love to our committee of people, which may be both sets of parents or in-laws or whatever, and we'll all kind of sit down and have a discussion. I've said things when I was on a venue visit, like on a venue tour with potential clients, things like, in the past, some of my couples have brought their parents into the decision maker. Are your families involved in the same way? That one's a whomper. You should make sure you write that one down, because sometimes they're very like, it's all on us, it's all our choice, it's all our decision, and then they can't make a decision, and then you find out that it's because there really were parents involved in the process. The other question is something like along the lines of, how can I help you get your decision approved? Maybe sometimes that there's something that the couple will tell you that's a hot button or an important part of the decision process for whoever the decision maker is that they may not really care about. I'll use a couple I met with at Mission Inn as an example. When I said, how can I help you get your decision approved? The first thing out of the groom's mouth, because his parents were paying for most of the wedding, was, my dad's a super avid golfer and he's always said he wished he had a chance to play at Mission Inn. So I talked to our golf department, booked them some tee times, and got them out there to be able to come and enjoy the course and enjoy the resort and have lunch on us. And it booked us a wedding. So, but you've got to ask the right questions to get there. I would highly suggest that you find a way in wording the things you're sending to your leads to and get them to invite them to bring the decision maker to the actual tour itself, or bring them back if they're not 100% sure, and make yourself available if you realize as a part of the process that you don't have the decision maker with you. You really have to persuade them to find out what's important to the person making the decision, and you also have to get that advocate on your side. So you need to arm them with all the tools they need to be able to go to the decision maker and kind of present this as the best option as to what they're looking for. Hopefully, you'll be able to use the questions I've provided to get a little bit more creative with trying to figure out who the decision maker is so that you guys can book more weddings and events at your venue. Here from Shannon at Wedding Venue Map and our team, we're always here to help you with your success in booking more events and growing your business this year and next.